Faster Fluency Conversation Club podcast, review week number 2, top 5 keys to understanding native speaker speech. Welcome to the Faster Fluency Conversation Club podcast by Business English with Christina. The Faster Fluency Conversation Club takes place on Zoom and is a way for you to improve your fluency and confidence in English by talking about real-world topics. We meet for 1 hour every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we would love you to join us. If you want to practice your English, become more confident, and meet people just like you from all around the world, and have guidance from my expert teachers and me, just click the link in the show notes. Our podcast listeners receive a 50% discount on the first month of membership with the discount code FFCC50. Come and join us today. Hey everybody, I hope you are enjoying these review lessons that we're putting together for you over the summer. And today I am with Linda. Linda, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah.
Doing well. So yeah.
And you?
Doing well. Yep, exactly. It's well, right now it's late June, but the time this podcast is coming out, it's early August. So I will be back from vacation by the time this comes out. Nice, relaxed, and ready to get back to work. Anyway, today we are doing a little work on helping everyone better understand native speakers or even, very advanced speakers who speak very fast and use a lot of, let's say, connected speech and things like that are very, I would say, characteristic of the way native speakers speak. And generally, that's what makes them hard to understand.
Yes. And I want to say, not just Americans. This is all native speakers. That's important too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's all native. All native speakers are
exactly
sometimes hard to understand. Right. So I guess maybe what would your first tip be to help people?
Yeah. So just this week and last week, I've been having a lot of conversations with my students about when there's two spoken vowel sounds that are right next to each other, whether it's two words that are next to each other, the end of one word, the beginning of the next word, or even just within one word, when you have two vowel sounds that both must be pronounced, we have to add an extra sound to make the link. And so it's going to be a Y or a W sound, so a Y or a W. And this came up when a student was talking about, she lived in the Caribbean and she said it just like
Caribbean.
Yeah. And at first I didn't even understand her. And she said, but it's the same word in French as it is in English. Why don't you understand?
Yeah.
And I said,
which it's always really frustrating when it's written the same way. And you're like, and then it's like, that's what I said. And you're like, no, but the pronunciation was just a little off. And that can create real problems. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then she went, oh, yeah, that's right. You told me last week when we were talking about idea and ideal for both of those, because you have the E and the A that are both pronounced. You have to add the Y.
Like in Caribbean, there's that Y sound.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you think of some other examples?
Let's see. Some examples with the Y sound.
Y or W.
Let me think. Maybe like usual. Because at the end, you've got the U and the A. So there's usual, there's a W sound there.
Exactly.
Usual. And then maybe in the word beautiful. So there's that U sound at the beginning. And if you look at it just written, you might say it looks like beautiful or beautiful or something like that. And I think like that's such a common word that people learn very early. So they don't even think about the pronunciation. But if you listen to it, beautiful, there's this mysterious Y sound that just appears in there. So
I feel like that one can be hidden a little bit because of the fact that sometimes the U sound is oo and sometimes it's U. Like with cute, right? There's no Y in it, but it has a Y sound anyways.
Yeah.
So I think with beautiful, maybe you could think that that's the reason why, rather than realizing that it's probably because there's two vowels.
Because there's a bunch of vowels squished together.
More than two.
Yeah, exactly. But because there's just a lot of vowels in there. And then, so very interesting.
So those examples are specifically with just one word, but it could even be when you have two words that are next to each other, like I ate.
Like I ate. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. Or like I owe you money. I-yo. Yeah, it's like I-yo. Yeah, I owe you money. Interesting. Very interesting. I would say another maybe tip that sometimes it's like if you see it written, but you wouldn't generally see this written, maybe that's why it's a problem. But it's when you have a subject and the verb will. I think everyone, it's very easy to say like I'll for I will, or you'll for you will. Not so difficult. But then if you put like another subject with will, like the car, and you say like the car will be ready, but in spoken English, it becomes the car will be ready. And then it just sounds like you're like, the what? I don't know that word, Carl. Or it sounds like a person.
It sounds like a person.
Yeah. And then you're like, why are you saying the Carl? And it's
the guy. Why do I care about the guy?
Exactly. And I don't know, be ready for, I don't know. But yeah. And so it can create this like, what was that word? I missed that key word in that sentence. Or, with like, even if it's like the name of a person, like Carl will be ready, or Linda will be here. Linda will be here. Linda will be here. That's, if you're not aware of that, it can just sound like something totally foreign and unknown. Yeah.
So do you think we could do the same thing when we use an ing for a subject? So something like an activity like bicycling or swimming or.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cause you could be like, we're going to go to the beach. Oh, swimming will be fun.
Exactly.
Or, bicycling will be fun. So you're hearing, and the contracted will, it's really very, very subtle. If you go back and you listen to that.
Bicycling.
Yeah. And it's because it's so subtle, because if you really try to pronounce it, like you get tripped up with it. Bicycling.
That's absolutely what we say.
Yeah. Bicycling will be fun.
And it's so natural. Exactly.
But unless you're not aware of it and you're just like, I don't know what you just said.
All right. So when we were brainstorming, you came up with another one, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
So what would be an example of this one?
What are you going to do tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I'm going to be in Dijon all day. We have oral exams all day.
Yeah. So and what are you going to do after?
Drive home an hour.
And what are you going to do this weekend?
Oh, I'm actually going to Vesoul to watch one of my my friends. Her daughters are doing a show. I don't know, what would you call it? So the spectacle. It's the I guess it's their show, their end of year show for their dance.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, like their dance recital.
Exactly. There we go. Yeah. So, but it's more than a recital. It's
it's like a show.
Oh, it's absolutely a show. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they call it a gala or something like that.
Okay.
Like it's a big to do. There's some good vocabulary. A big to do.
Yeah, there you go. It's a big to do. There you go. Very casual, very natural vocabulary. But I was going to say, if we're, I don't know if you guys listening, if you caught the questions I was asking Linda, but it was always with like, what are? So what is like, and then it was very often, what are you going to do? So what are you going to do?
Exactly. Well, what are you going to do this weekend?
I'm going running 25 kilometers in the mountains with a friend of mine. I don't know why I told him I would do that.
Okay, so I'd rather be sitting in a chair watching the show.
I'd rather be sitting in the chair watching a show as well. He's like, oh, let's go run up the mountains and we can run back down and then we can eat on the way down. And I was like, yeah, great. And then now I'm like, oh.
So you're running up and you're running down?
We'll have to run up and then come back down, I think. So yeah, okay. I don't know if we're going to actually run up because I'm just not a good uphill runner. But anyway, so we're going to go up and then we're going to come back down.
I feel like I have the same trouble going up the hills. And I don't know, like Mississippi is rather flat, right?
It's super
Wisconsin's
flat.
Exactly. Wisconsin's flat. And I feel like part of it is that I never trained,
It's like
to go up and down. It was like small hills. What we thought were hills are nothing here.
And then you realized, oh, wait. Yeah, no. Anyway, so
all right,
digressing, but getting back, what's another, let's see, we're up to number 4. What's our number 4 key to understanding native speakers?
The next one is the same 2 words being said in 4 different ways.
Fun.
All right. So did you? We have 2 long versions and 2 short versions.
Yes.
So did you, did ya?
Yeah.
So it becomes the j-j-j
sound. Did ya? Yeah.
Did you? And then did kind of gets dropped and we can say ju, ja. So
either one. Yeah.
Let's do all of the options with did you eat?
Okay. So like jeet,
Okay.
Did you eat?
Juit.
Did you eat? Yeah. And that's interesting because it's almost like the "did you eat" is like you're putting the emphasis on you. Like, oh, I already ate lunch. Did you eat?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but that's part of it is that I found, and trying to explain this to my students, is that we use each of these to change the question in a way.
Yeah.
So that like surprise or curiosity or
emphasis on the other.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Did you eat?
Yeah.
Did you eat?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like jeet is you're just kind of asking the question. Whereas like, "did you eat?" You're maybe putting that emphasis and contrasting you with maybe like me, or I don't know, the kids, or the rest of the people in the office or something like that. Yeah.
So, but then it was really interesting because as we were trying to come up with these, you had said in the South, you guys probably wouldn't say "did you eat?"
We say y'all.
Exactly.
Like "did y'all," which y'all is the contraction between you and all. So I guess the plural of you in the southern part of the United States. And so we would say, like, of course, if you're addressing several people, "y'all eat yet?"
Exactly.
To say, "did you all eat yet?" which is incorrect English anyway. It should be "have you all eaten" English.
But it's what we say.
English, yeah. "Have you all eaten yet?" But we say, "did you eat?" "Did you eat yet?" "Jeet yet?" And then in the South, "jolly yet?"
Exactly. I have a friend here in Besançon. She also teaches. She's from Texas. She says that all the time.
Exactly.
Y'all start yet? Y'all eat yet?
Exactly. So yeah, the "did" definitely gets clipped off, let's say. Yeah. All right. And speaking of clipping sounds, the fifth one I would mention is understanding "can" versus "can't." Because when you say it like that, "can," you hear this A sound, but when it's in a sentence in normal speech, it becomes more like "can." There's the schwa sound in there.
Well, and also this is one that has, since it's a diphthong, which anyways, it makes two vowel sounds. We have that Y sound in there for Americans. Can.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
But when you're saying it fast, it drops off. It's just can.
Like you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do it if we slow that down, but we keep the same sounds. It's not "you can do it," it's "you can do it," which can be very confusing because it's actually the negative "can't," where we actually pronounce the A sound more fully. So it's like, no, you can't do that. To say "you cannot do that." But if you go back and listen again, you don't hear the T. Which I mean, this is just awful for people because it's like you hear "you can't do that." And it sounds like, yes, you can do that, but it's no, you can't. You can't do it. You cannot do it.
But I've had this discussion with some other situations where we talk about the T sound. And I think if it's just "can," the "n" kind of drops off. It's not an abrupt or like
exactly.
stop. Whereas when there's a T, that's when the breath stops, like the
just like at the apostrophe almost. So
I've had the discussion with the difference between way and wait. Way, wait.
Yeah.
Way, wait. So "can," it kind of just slowly stops.
Can,
versus "can't."
Can't. Yeah, because to make the T sound there, which of course we don't pronounce like "you can't do it," but to create the T sound, what happens is the tongue blocks, it goes up against the top of the mouth or the teeth to stop the air, which means like you can't do it. And so that's when you get this little like blockage there. That is not an easy one.
When there's not a T, then the sound just kind of
goes.
Stops.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of trickles away or, kind of fades away.
Exactly.
But yeah. Okay. All right. So that was our top 5. Any bonuses?
I think we should give them a bonus.
Give them a bonus.
With all of these, the other thing that I've been talking to my students about a lot is getting the syllable stress right. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it really does. And when we were talking about the Caribbean, right? That was one. In French, you say it rather flat. And so she just wasn't really hitting any syllable. And when I'm teaching this, I tend to just make fun of myself.
It's always a good way of teaching.
That's what I do. So the city that I live in French, we would say Besançon.
Right.
Okay. But if I say that word, or if my mom says that word, if I'm speaking in English, how do we say it? Besançon.
Besançon, exactly right.
And it sounds like we're singing, but because that's where the word stress would go for a native speaker. The other example I have is ratatouille.
Mm-hmm.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille,
Okay.
yeah.
So we would say ratatouille, ratatouille. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is what people say when they talk about the film, because that's where the word stress goes.
Yeah.
Right. So if we don't put the word stress in those spaces, people don't recognize that it's that word. Right. So my student, a different student, not talking about the Caribbean, but a different one, we were talking about the Bahamas. So one of the problems was the H wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
But also he wasn't putting that word stress on the H of the Hama.
Okay.
And so I wasn't sure what he was saying at first. Then once I realized the H was missing and he wasn't stressing that sound, then I figured out what he was saying. And sometimes that word stress is just so important.
It's just super important.
People won't understand. Or I can't think of any right now, but there are some words where if you mean one thing, you put the stress on the beginning.
That's like record, for example.
Or record.
Yeah, exactly. So like, oh, I'm going to listen to a vinyl record. Record. And then, oh, let's record this conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that it can change the meaning. Totally.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
no, very good. Very nice bonus there. Yeah. And maybe we'll give you guys a challenge just to find some other words that do that, because there are lots of them in the English language that it's written the same, but if you change the syllable stress, it changes the meaning of the word. Challenge for all of you FFCC people out there. And I think that's a good place to end for today.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Linda, and see you soon.
Sounds good. See you.
Thank you for listening again this week. As a bonus for our listeners, we now offer the transcript of this episode for free so you can read after listening. Our goal is to help you improve all aspects of your English. And when you become a member of the Faster Fluency Conversation Club, each week you also get exercises on grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and more directly connected to the topic of the conversation each week. In addition to the daily speaking practice in the club, you'll also make friends around the world with professionals just like you, so you have fun learning and remember what you learned better. And because you listen to this podcast, you get a 50% discount on your first month of membership. Just use the code FFCC50. And if you'd like to join the club, the link for more details is in the show notes for this podcast. We hope to see you in the club.